Live on all the platforms. This is War to Wisdom. We are live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm here with my brother, Kyle. My man. We're here to share some stuff that maybe we haven't shared before, and maybe some others have or haven't shared before, but we're here together today to share some stuff that's come up through our life. Myself and Kyle grew up not too far away from each other physically, but in a ideological way we could have been worlds apart, and now we're back together here. And as we've come through, so we both grew up in Northern Ireland and grew up in the opposing sides, and we've remembered who we are now.
Yes, the soul tribe, brother.
Some years later, and we're here to share, about our experiences growing up in Northern Ireland, growing up and what happened there. And Kyle, has had a very full life and a full experience, and I'm just so happy that he's come here to share with us, share his story, share his wisdom, share his challenges. And we're just going to really start by saying, some of the stuff we're going to share today could be triggering for some people, could be challenging for us to share and maybe for some people to hear, but we're here because we really feel and know that there is something wants to be shared. There's something there's a story wants to be told, and so we're here to tell it. So this is War to Wisdom. This is my brother, Kyle MacConnell.
Thank you, brother.
So we're live on all the platforms. I think we're good. Just let us know on TikTok, Instagram, on Facebook and YouTube that the sound is working okay. If you can just put in the...
Can't hear anything. It's fuzzy. Right, so...
Is that on TikTok?
Yeah, that's on TikTok.
I wonder, is it because your charger's on TikTok?
I don't know. Do you want to take it off?
Maybe just try that.
Is that coming through on the TikTok? It might just not be close enough. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I could probably do with a speaker. No sound, guys. No sound, right? So I need to try and figure this out.
So just bear with us a moment while we get, because we're streaming on all these platforms. So
can you hear me now? Go off and try again. That's right.
Okay. So Kyle's going to set up his TikTok, TikTok technology.
Listen, I'm still trying to figure out the technology of this modern day age.
So if you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, please just let us know that the sound is working okay on your end. I think it should be okay, hopefully. And just put in the comments there. Instagram seems to be going okay. We're just going to try again now with the...
It might be yes.
All's good. Okay, all's good on YouTube. Thank you, Katrina.
Right,
so we're just going to try again on TikTok. Let's see how we go. So we have phones here and cameras here. Let's see how it goes. So while we're doing this little tech stuff, if you could help us by sharing out this live, whatever platform you're on.
Is that better, Carl? Is it?
So if you're on Facebook, you could share it out. If you're on YouTube, share the link for us, please, while we get the...
Is there any sound coming on the TikTok? Sorry, everybody. It's a bit of a...
That's okay. This is a tech. TikTok tech.
We'll just crack on with it. As we can't hear, it's okay.
We can just go ahead. We got people coming on there, Facebook and YouTube. So if anyone's on Facebook there, if you could just let us know sound's working. But okay, thank you, my beloved.
Ali, is the sound working?
Elise.
Is there any sound coming through, Ali? No.
So yeah, share it out on Facebook, share it on YouTube. If TikTok doesn't play with us, we will...
Yeah.
You'll be able to upload it on there anyway.
Right, still no sound, so...
Interesting.
Let me see. I maybe have it on setting.
Yeah.
Right, I'll play around with it anyway.
So, yeah, other platforms are going well. So what we'll do is I'm going to share briefly how this came about, and then I'm going to put it across to Kyle. And so I don't know the exact timeline on this, but I met Kyle a few years ago in Ireland in a beautiful retreat centre. And we got talking, and he shared with me a bit of his history. And for me, I was just instantly inspired.
Is that the sound working now? Yeah.
Is it going?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Let's crack on. Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you. Thank you, everybody,
Happy
for
days.
being patient.
Thank you for your patience. So yeah, we met a few years ago. You're not sure of the timeline either. It was sometime in this crazy time of the last 5 years, we met, and like I was instantly, well, I hear the accent, and like I've lived out of Ireland for a long while, and as soon as I hear the accent, it's just like beautiful, especially in a kind of spiritual setting. Just when I heard his accent, I was like instantly, oh, I want to find out more about this guy. And then we were in the sauna in a group, and he started telling me a bit of your story, and I was just like instantly
this last 5 years, there is no timelines. It's all just collapsing, isn't it?
Completely. And so when you told me a bit of your story growing up, where you grew up, and you know how that was for you, I was just like so inspired, and I was like, I knew something like this would happen one day, but it took a wee bit longer than we thought. But so what we're really going to do today is I want Kyle to share a little bit about his story, where he's come from, what he's come through, and you know, we've called this War to Wisdom, and I mean we're talking quite literally in your case, and we're talking about this inner war, but also the real living outer war that, you know, Kyle lived through, I lived through in a way. So I'd love to hand it over to you to tell a wee bit about your story coming up in Northern Ireland, about your life, wherever you feel like dropping in there with it.
Yeah, no, it's just start off. It's been a pleasure to spend a bit of time with you. As you know, I had a bit of a fall myself a couple of weeks ago with addictions, old habits creeping up, just through isolation. I've been isolating myself for a while there, and it's just great to have that support, Martin. I appreciate it. Thank you. And so many other people, like earth angels, have just appeared into my life and just been lifting my vibrations up and lifting me up spiritually in these last couple of weeks, and I just want to give thanks to them. Do you know what I mean? I really do. God's working through a lot of people at the minute. God's working through us. He's working through nature, and it's just amazing to see God bringing us all together, the soul tribe. The soul tribe. But yes, I grew up in a small town in the north of Ireland, so it would have been a loyalist area. Obviously, when you're a child, you don't understand all of these labels, flags, religions, all of this stuff. You're just born into this environment, and you become a product of your environment, really. And that's what happened to me. Like, it was from young. My mum was an amazing woman. I spent a long time blaming her and blaming the way that my environment was when I was growing up. But as I've grown into a man, I've realised the sacrifices that a woman has made, women have made for myself and for other men throughout our journey. So I'm just grateful for her. But I grew up in that household, and there was 6 of us. So there was 4 boys and two younger sisters. I was the youngest boy, and as time went on, became the black sheep. The black sheep. But I wear that with honour now. Do you know what I mean? Because if I wasn't that black sheep, I wouldn't be breaking generational curses that's being placed throughout our bloodlines and our family life. So 3 older brothers. My oldest brother, amazing man. All of them are amazing, but he went through an issue where a paramilitary member's family had shot him when he was younger, and he was only 16. So straight away, that's one of the memories I know as a young boy, as a 4-year-old, waking up and seeing my mum in tears, seeing her crying in the kitchen, and remembering being woke up and the police were everywhere. And after that, James, my brother, would have took the father role on, because there wasn't a father role in the house. So when that happened, and to witness him not being the same after that, I know it played an effect in my life. But as I grew older, it's what was he going through? Do you know what I mean? What the emotions, and I can never comprehend in my own life what battles he has faced. So growing up through that, you start coming into the age where you start wandering into the streets as a young boy, and you're witnessing stuff as you're growing up. Violence in the household, domestic abuse. you're witnessing alcoholism, so it's slowly conditioning and programming you into a way of thinking and a way of being and a way where you think that it's normal life. Do you know what I mean? And I can't blame anybody. I can't blame my family. I can't blame my father. I can't blame anybody. This is what they were conditioned to as well. It's been a well orchestrated plan to break the family home, and that's what we're witnessing in the world now. Is the family home is being torn apart, and the sort of it's being torn apart. It is. So I witnessed that and just thought that was normal life. And growing up, then you start projecting and mirroring that onto your community. You start wandering out, maybe fighting, getting into small fights, small dramas. You start taking all of that stuff on as your identity. And that's really when I don't want to speak too much in the childhood, because things have happened there that are nobody's fault. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I think we can dwell on the childhood and use it as a self-pity thing, or poor me. I've sat with all of that. There's no more poor me. I am an adult, I am a man, and it's time to take responsibility and authority over my own personal life, Martin. Do you know what I mean? So I love all of that. I let it all go, and we signed up for it. Our souls signed up for it before we long came here. So who is to blame in this journey of life? Going into my teenage years, 13, that's when drugs started, addiction started creeping in. A lot of just started off smoking the odd wee bit of hash here and there, and then you go into the ecstasy, and then your consciousness starts going into places that aren't for a teenage boy to experience. Yeah, so from 13 then I started rebelling. That's what it was. I started rebelling against my mother. I started blaming her that my father wasn't around, that I didn't have all of these nice materials that my friends were having and stuff like that. They came from a complete family unit, most of them, and yeah. So like you start resenting your mum nearly. I know it's horrible to say, but you start thinking she's not doing her best, or she could do more for you. And it's heartbreaking for me now to actually think that I carried that way of thought towards my mother. I'm sure she felt that through the rebellion that I was portraying. From 13, the police at the door nearly every week looking at me. It's funny because the first crime that I committed was robbing a church youth club, and we broke into it at a young age and stole all the sweets and just thought we were having a laugh at that time. But even then, that was the first crime I was caught for. So I ended up having to do community service in a church. So I had to go down to the youth club. That humbled me at that time. That's when I really realised that my actions were, as a young boy, I didn't really comprehend it, but my actions had meaning behind it. They had a force behind it. When you're putting that action into the world, that energy, then it's going to have a negative effect on your loved ones and the people around you. But that didn't change me. Obviously, as a young boy, it's like the story of the prodigal son. You go wandering into the world and you think it's great, this and that. You go wandering, and then you come to realise as an older man that you be humbled into the fact that the world is not the answer. It's all in here. Do you know what I mean? It's all inside. But at 13 then, crime started happening up to the age of 15. Small crimes, fighting, violence, things like that. And they started adding up and adding up. But obviously from the area I come from, loyalist paramilitaries, people like that starts getting their eye on you. And I was already lacking father figures in my life, role models. Do you know what I mean? I just had my mother there, and by this stage she had been through enough that she was just broken. Do you know what I mean? And for me to come along then at that 15-year-old, from 13 building up to 15, just rebelling, having police, all of the emotions, lying to her all of the time, deflecting all of this trouble I was causing onto other people and other friends. So by 15, I ended up doing a till snatch out of Lidl. I ended up grabbing the till out of Lidl and running, and got away with it for 3 months and thought it was great. Throwing money out to my friends, thinking that this was great. Everybody's looking at me. You're mad. You're crazy. You're mad. So you start building that reputation in that local community. By 15, paramilitaries had their eye, and I was stealing from Asda at the time to survive because I was sort of in and out of the house at that stage. My mum was letting me in, and then I was going missing for days and days, and then I was coming back thinking everything was going to be okay. But 15, I started really getting into theft, and I stole a lot of stuff from Asda, and I was selling them to the local paramilitaries for bits of marijuana, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean, hash, weed, whatever. So I was stealing for that. One of the local so-called commanders in the area that was meant to be a protector of the community and all of this nonsense that they sell us had said to me, look, you're going to have to come in and join us, or you're going to be forced to. So at that age, I was thinking, right, I'll come in with them because I might as well. They're going to give me all of these access to illegal substances. They're going to give me a roof over my head. They're going to start looking after me. They're going to mentor me, and it's a good chance for me to start really making money and doing this kind of stuff. And nobody will mess with me if I have all of these boys behind me. That's what they were selling me a dream. Do you know what I mean? They were selling this to me. They were telling this to me. And a young 15-year-old's mind, after dwelling in all of these substances, your mind's not right. You haven't fully matured, so you start listening to these entities that are working through these local men. They don't know they're working with these dark forces and these entities. They think that they're protecting their families or looking after their families or helping their community. So they're just broken and lost like I was at the time. And once that brokenness and then entities start joining forces together, that negative dark entities start bringing people together, it's a chaotic force then. Do you know what I mean? Just like we can bring a positive forces into our life and positive energies around like this now, or the communities we've spent time in, it works in both. Do you know what I mean? It's up to us what we choose to serve. But by that stage, by 15, the paramilitaries had grabbed me. I'd ended up doing a till snatch and ended up getting away with it for 3 months, but ended up going to a young offenders centre. That was my first sort of prison. You wouldn't call it prison. It was back then. I thought it was more like a play camp,
a holiday camp.
Yeah, holiday camp.
Like the way you were describing yesterday, sounded like a holiday camp with your PlayStations and.
Yeah, you have it all. Like you build your thing up to platinum, and you had a PlayStation. You were doing DJing. You were training.
This was like this was a good thing. This was like
it was
a level up at the time. Yeah,
it was a break, and plus it got to put some size on me. So when I got out, I thought it was even more egotistic because I've got muscle on me now. I was starting to develop it into a young man. But by the time I got out, then I was just fully in that way of crime. That's what it was, just crime, violence, addiction, and just completely rebelling against my family. But most importantly, rebelling against God and myself in that sense, my soul, my spirit. Do you know what I mean? Rebelling against the emotions that I carry, rebelling against my mindset, just trying to survive. That's all it was. At 15 years old, you're out in the streets, you're under the wing of these paramilitary members, you're taking drugs all of the time, you're just in that way of life. It's a dark place to be, really dark, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, and anybody that's going to be growing up through these areas and these communities really the young lads just need to know it is not the way at all. Like all of these young people growing up now carry such a light in them, and they are our future generations that need to be nurtured in the right way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
These men leading these people, running and leading these communities, are leading in fear. We need to lead in love. Do you know what I mean? Compassion, truth, morals and values. That's what we need to be passing on. And yeah, I didn't have any of that at 15. It was just take, be the big lad, and you will be given everything. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't work out like that at all. You end up with less and less and less than you even begun with. But after I got out of that holiday camp, as we'll call it, started developing, growing into a man, started getting more violent towards people, and you're being taught about these religions. You're being taught that the Catholic side is the enemy. You're being taught that they tortured our ancestors, they did this and that to our ancestors. But I never really took all of that on because my mum's side was originally from Dublin. They were Sweeney's. They were from Dublin. So my mum's side grew up from that area, and my granny had moved up into that local area when she was younger, and she was accepted into it. So, but my mum always made me aware that my granny was a Catholic. Do you know what I mean? So I never really took any of that on, and I think maybe that's why part of them rejected me for that, because I've always seen past all of that. I see humans. I see humanity. I don't see religions and flags.
Yeah.
But at that time, you're just listening to what they're telling you. Plus, you're taking a lot of drugs with them, and they're hugging you, and they're telling you that it's brothership and fellowship, and we'll always have your back.
Yeah.
And at that time, you're believing anything you hear, because you're just desperate to be loved and needed and valued and all of them things. Do you know what I mean? You're looking for them role models and father figures.
Yeah, it's something we talked about yesterday. Now that we talked, the indigenous communities in the world.
Yeah.
That most young men and women, somewhere around the age of 13, exactly the age that you talk, 13, 14, 15, maybe earlier, maybe later, all indigenous societies, they initiate their young into pre-adulthood or adulthood. And as we were talking about some of this yesterday, you were telling me what was happening. I was asking you, and I was asking you, is there an initiatory process that they've put you through? And you described that, and I was saying that they're actually fulfilling a gap in society in a very unhealthy, very negative way, but they're still filling a gap, because like you said, there's a yearning for an initiation. I mean, like me, I got initiated in a pub. I got initiated in drinking, taking drugs, like you. Is like that was my initiation. Whereas to be initiated into womanhood, into manhood, into becoming an adult, you need to learn to know how to be with yourself. And these initiations was putting power and authority outside of yourself, and then mostly getting away from your emotions and your feelings by medicating with alcohol, with drugs. But they are filling a need in the society that's not there. So it's interesting how that comes around.
See, I fully believe that our ancestors would have obviously sent their young into the wild to survive, and I fully believe in this day and age, if each child coming into that age, woman and man, should be given a fund where they go out into the world and they travel. Maybe there's groups, maybe 2 or 3 of them go out and travel together and survive on their own, spend time with themselves alone, and nurture that and see different cultures and different communities.
Yes,
I fully believe that would be a great way to bring them into that.
I think that's something we've both talked about. I know for myself, I lived my first 28 years in Northern Ireland, and I was, like we've talked about it before, even in the times that I was going on holidays in them first 28 years, I would go on holidays to Spain or Greece or Turkey and spend 2 weeks in an Irish bar. So you're never leaving the bubble. I was never leaving the bubble of consciousness there. I didn't know anything else existed out of that, and it was stepping out of that bubble and traveling was the first thing that opened me up. First thing that opened me up, and I think that's so important, because like we've talked about too, if you're still in that environment where, like, for maybe some of our American, Canadian friends, or those that don't know about the kind of the Northern Ireland circumstances, like so many histories that you could talk about, but the most recent time is like this Catholic, Protestant, British, Irish, loosely speaking conflict, where in 1998, what age would you have been then?
1998, I would have been 5 years old.
So so that was when officially it was the Good Friday peace agreement. So officially for the world, that's when peace came to Northern Ireland, and then it was like there's that's all done now. But and I know, a lot of it has not changed. A lot of it has not changed at all. There mightn't be as many bombs, there mightn't be as many shooting, but there is. But the consciousness, the conflict, the trauma, it hasn't changed very much. Like you said, the younger people being born now are coming in with much more light, but the people that have lived through that around my age, your age, and older, they've never had any tools. Most of the people have not gone through like trauma, like the ability to work through this trauma, to speak it out, to actually know what they're feeling. But I know when I go back, I see like there's still like every summer. You still have the peace walls. You still have the town that I come from. So again, for people that don't know, so like Irish, Republican, Catholic is the loose one side, and then you have Protestant, loyalist, British,
Yeah.
and you have whole towns that are like nearly 100% like that.
No.
Or if it's not the whole town, you'll have an area that's completely loyalist or completely Republican. And you know, I came from a town that was like vastly like nationalist Republican, and I think Ballyclare will be similar on the other way.
Yeah.
So we came from kind of extreme environments there, but you know, again, things have got a whole lot better, but there's still a heavy cloud. There's still a lot of unhealed trauma that's still playing out, like in many places in the world, with alcohol abuse. Suicide for young men in Northern Ireland is absolutely through the roof.
Crazy, it is.
And you know, addictions, which we both have come through, and are coming through, I should say that, awakening and moving through addictions. I always say it's not, you know, because I can say for myself, I'm sober 11 years, completely sober 11 years, but my addictions have moved into these little boxes that were on social media and those things. So it's important to remember that, and I do feel that that's some hangover from my time in Northern Ireland, and that's all the trauma work that I've done and all the things that that's why when I met you, like, it was for you to share your story and how like deeply impacted you were, like, 'cause you were impacted a lot deeper than I was. You were really deeply in it, and to speak with you on the level of speaking with you, for me it was just like, wow, this is like, I feel emotional even saying it. It was like,
you, brother.
it was such an inspiration to hear that. To
you've listened to me, that's what I appreciate. You've actually heard and listened and actually wanted to get to know me, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Because, like, you know, you say someone from Ballyclare and someone from Dungiven back there, even now they're not mixing very much. They're not mixing very much. There are fringes that's like just stepping away from all that.
It's changing a lot. It is.
Yes.
There is a lot of change happening, and people don't want it no more because these old stories don't serve us in the present no more.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be that generation, us that all dies with. Absolutely. And there's a new story rewritten in the sense for our generations to grow up in community and connection and to see past the division and the divide. Yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these flags that separate us, these indoctrinations that have been placed upon our communities.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, but the message is there, but they're all hiding behind this message, and it's all became criminality in that sense.
Yeah.
And I only know because I hid behind the message, and I've been that criminal at one stage. So like I've witnessed. That's what I feel I've been put on this earth to do, is to witness stuff and to just get the truth in it, and yeah. So it's just crazy, it is, and I'm just praying it can change, and I do think it is going to change, because we're taking on battles that aren't ours.
Yes.
Our Celtic ancestors would laugh at us at these times. Yeah. They were connected with the land, with one another. They helped one another. They were in tribes. They were in community. They shared food. They exchanged services. Yeah. There was never anybody that would have divided our Celtic ancestors. We stood as one. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We stood as one, and it's been the hierarchy, and it's been these agendas, and it's been outside forces that have infiltrated into Irish culture. North and south, it's one country to me, it's air to me, do you know what I mean? And that's me speaking from a man that has came from a loyalist background, but once you truth seek and once you really start to understand history, his story is from the victor, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it brings you back to your heritage, your culture within, do you know what I mean? So I'm just very blessed that I've seen through all of the lies and all of the misteachings and misdirections that are coming from churches, chapels, all of this. Yep. Because they're playing a part in the divide as well. We all are. We are divided within ourselves at the minute with all of these views and opinions, instead of coming back to source within. I'm really, really stepping into that and seeing the way, because there is a way, do you know what I mean? There is a way to see through all of this, but you must want it. But most people don't want to let go of these programs and these conditionings, because that's their identity. They think that is their identity. Yeah. Did you know? But we've let go of it all, and we have found our true identity within. We were having
a joke about that yesterday. Now about well, not even a joke, just like recognizing. There's a lot of talk about culture when you talk about Ireland and our culture, and we talked about all the things that we were taught as our culture. Not all of them, but a lot of the things. It was just totally made up culture. It's not our real nature. Our real culture was connection, was music, was
dancing, festivals.
Of course, and we have poets, we have writers, we have all the ones. And again, a lot of those do come from really hard times, and their genius comes from hard times. But our culture was connection and welcoming and oneness and community.
Inside that when you speak about that, you know
that's our true culture.
That's life.
But us growing up, we were given a different type of culture. This is your culture, and it's like this false thing that's put over the top of it. And that's something I would like to talk about now, because you mentioned the flags. So for someone, again, that maybe not so aware of what the Irish story, something that's much more modern that will give you an idea is, so to this day, I'm going to assume, and I'm going to guess it's the same in Ballyclare. In Dungiven, there'll be Irish tricolours, and there'll be a Palestinian flag flying beside it. Yeah. And in Ballyclare, I know, and
Israel,
there'll be Israel and Union Jack flags. Yeah. So that again, that's from as long as I remember, there was always this affinity again with so this is what we could call trauma bonding. We could talk, identifying with a cause, an identity, because of a cultural story and because of trauma, that one side identified this, one side identified that. And so that's still happening now. And this is something I wanted to talk about, and we were mentioning, is like, I feel a lot of that, especially in Northern Ireland, and of course this is affecting the whole world. It's a huge thing with Palestine, Gaza, and everything that's going on there. And we'll talk about the bigger picture of what that is at the towards the end. But I feel a huge amount of people in Northern Ireland, particularly in Ireland, are living out their unhealed trauma through this now war, by identifying that, and the ability to point and say, those are that's wrong, they're wrong, they need to do it. And both sides, they're doing it.
Instead of starting with themselves and healing themselves and bringing them into that space of not being divided.
And it's so deep, and it's not just Ireland, of course. This is separating across the planet.
We'll lose a lot of friends over this discussion. The truth has to be spoken at some stage.
Absolutely, and I say we grew up with this cultural ideal, and this is how we. And like I've talked about before, I've lived in the Middle East, and I have met Jewish people, I've met Muslim people, I've met every culture that I've met in the world, and it's very key to once you step out of this, you start to see people without their labels. Even if they say their label, you just start seeing people. And I've met beautiful people from every walk of life and every religion, every culture, and incredible, beautiful people in all ways. And now I can see this division it's a hangover. It's a result of this unhealed trauma within the north, within Ireland, and that is just being magnified, and it's bringing up all the stuff. But like you said, it's an ability now to point it over there and all of their things, that while what's happening there on the streets and the homes is it's unlooked at.
Well, no.
The abuse, the child abuse, the alcoholism, the addictions, it's all looking over there now, because it's a whole lot easier to, from one side, look over at Israel, or from the other side, those Palestinians that deserve whatever the storyline is, then look in your house, look literally in your own family. That's hard, and everybody is got an opportunity to do that or not, but it's so much easier to look outside. And I think that's the theme of this call that we talked about, from war to wisdom, because I know I was when you talked about 4 years old, your brother being shot by the loyalist paramilitaries, paralyzed. So you're coming to the world 4 years old. That's your entrance into this world. I didn't have that sort of extreme experience, but I grew up the feeling of a victim, the feeling of fear and distrust and hatred, basically, for British Army on the streets, and British Army walking up and down the streets. But what I remember now, and it's going back into the programming, is how desensitized I was to violence and killing.
Yeah, I've been very desensitized. Yeah, we all have. Do you know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
And it's grown up through that I have been desensitized from it. And I remember my people that were hugging me in a room and partying with me, tying me to chairs at one stage and beating me with hammers, breaking my arms. Do you know what I mean? And this is people that were hugging me in a room and saying, "You're my brother." And the world wonders why I have trust issues sometimes. These are people that hug and embrace me. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So it's we've all been desensitized to this violence. Do you know what I mean? And we think it's normal. We're watching it on TV. We're listening to the music. And it's just one big program, and we need to rewrite the program in that sense.
For sure.
For our future generations. We are the seed planters. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. And then, now it's more important than ever, because this distorted force, we're going to call it energy, we're not going to give it too many names. The force that's behind every war, the force behind every conflict, the forces behind all addictions, all of the challenges, is this divisive force that wants to pit people against each other. And if I'm fighting with you, I'm not looking anywhere else, only at you. I'm not looking inside here. I'm not looking at the source of what's putting us apart. And I feel like it's so important that we plant these seeds of the self work, the inner work, whatever's coming up in the world, whether it's in the Middle East or it's in the middle of your kitchen, whether it's in the middle of an argument with your wife or it's someone you see on the street with road rage. We have to look at the seed that's planted within us. And funnily enough, we had an experience of it this week where we got to experience it. So like when you're doing this work and you open your heart, you open up in light. I've had a couple of experiences recently where
it seems to be coming out as lately, doesn't it?
The energy is drawn. The energy is drawn to us. It's drawn into our experience, and then you get an opportunity. No, we're sat here talking. I mean, we're talking some deep stuff here, but at times that we can be just sharing our wisdom. We can share in the light. It's in the moment when you're challenged. It's the moment when you feel unsafe. It's the moment when someone's literally coming at you in a there's violence and someone coming at you. And are you able to turn the other cheek? Are you able to stay calm? And I mean,
or you can react out of your trauma or trigger responses.
Exactly.
And this is what's happening when you look at all of these deficiencies going on. People are out there in the streets now acting out of their trigger responses.
Yeah.
And the higher energy, whatever you want to call it, this higher power, this whatever, is feeding off that because they know that people haven't did the inner work. So if they can just project this wee picture onto our men and women and people of this, that these people are the enemy and this and that, it's going to raise that trigger in and they're going to respond from a trigger response. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what's happening. They're going out onto the streets now and they're raising that energy of hate. They're feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. Yeah. But
and this distorted energy that we talk about, that we're not given any power whatsoever, but we're just
no power over us,
absolutely, unless we give it the power that that it doesn't have. But it wins every war. It's never lost a war yet because it plays both sides. And this is what it does. It pits people against each other. It gets
energy, isn't it?
Purely harvest our contact energy. It feeds on all the lower vibrational energies, and so if it can put you against each other, it doesn't care what the outcome of a war is, a conflict is. It wins both ways. It can only its only power is the power that we give it, and we've talked about it this week. Is it has the ability to implant thoughts. It has the ability to elicit emotion through thoughts. But we, as sovereign beings, have the choice to either act that out or not. And like we talked about, the crazy thoughts that was coming into me after something had happened with us, and I was telling the day later, like I can literally feel and hear this thought coming in that was just insanity, like something from a crazy horrible movie that was coming in. And so I had the ability to see that and see that that's not me, even though that sounds like a voice in my head that's me, but I was ability to breathe, and
that's that entity trying to creep in, and
that's the energy.
Like before we were going to talk here, that entity was creeping in. Who do you think you are? Who are you going to speak about? Who are you going to do this? You're as guilty as all, and I know I'm as guilty as all because I've been a part of feeding this system.
Yes.
But when do we draw the line and take a step back from it? Do you know what I mean? When we see the enemy, when we know our enemy, we have to take a step back from it because we can no longer sit on the side of both fences. We need to choose now. Do you know what I mean? We're coming to that time. Are we going to raise this vibration in a positive way? Raise this earth back to its righteous way in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Being connected, being loving, being kind, throw all of that good stuff out into this world and help people raise up. Be the light. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And this thing, I'd like to speak a little bit further on this, because this energy sometimes in spiritual circles, especially in the most extreme ones, it gets given far more. Well, it literally has no power. I want to just make it very clear. Let's say this demonic, satanic energy, if the videos stay on here, it's good. As soon as we mention those words, we can disappear. This energy believes itself to be separate from source, separate from God. It believes it has something separate. So, and source is the only source of anything. So it literally has no power, but it has the ability to create an imaginary world where it has some separate reality. And the only power it has is implanting thoughts, implanting emotions to beings, and if they act it out, then it gets power. So anger, conflict. The only way that we can, you know, I don't even want to use the word, is like the spiritual war. All of these things are just feeding into the thing that they think is fighting. There's no war other than the war within us. The only way that we can like remove ourselves from that energy and starve it, because we have everybody on this planet at some stage or another has fed it its food, and the only thing to do is to remove that. So we have to remove the negative thoughts, remove the conflict within ourselves, and just remove ourselves from it, and it disappears, it dissolves, because its only power is what we feed it with.
100%.
But this idea where there's a spiritual war, and we've talked about it before, like this real extremist, like we have to fight the devil and fight the battle and, you know, fight the evil.
I've tried that my whole life.
Well, yes, exactly. It wins. Every time.
I know.
You fight it, it wins. You fight someone else, it
wins. You
wins.
have to surrender and just know that it's all part of this grand plan that's unfolding. This story that has been written, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, it's all part of it, and it needs to be there for now to bring people back into the light.
Yes.
Because you truly have to be broken to experience that light in your life.
Yes.
It's like you have to go into the darkness to get the wisdom, to use the wisdom in the light.
That's what I want to ask you. Let's go there now. So you went into Young Offenders. Then after that, you had a path with the paramilitaries, and then you ended up in prison. I'd like to ask about a couple of stints in prison.
3 times in prison. Yeah,
3 times.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask, what was, because you talked about, what was the moment? What was if you had to pick one? I know it was few. What was the one moment that took you from a young man that was going down this line of maybe not being in this body for very, very long, several times in prison, in this violent place? What was, if you had to pick one moment that really shifted, what was the change?
There was a whole collective of wee moments. Like, it was like loads of seeds were being planted from my friends feeling betrayed. I was never innocent as a boy. I was always messing about and mischievous, but it's like our ancestors would have, if somebody made a mistake, they would have put them in a circle and fed them love. When we made mistakes, we were getting guns held to our legs, arms broke, be it with hammers, everything. Do you know what I mean? So what is that teaching me? That's teaching me all of the wrong stuff, that violence is the answer. So all of these wee traits were building up, and I was looking at them, and it was like I was being given a clear vision. Once I got out of the McGabry, I think it was around 21 maybe, or 22ish. Once I got out of then, the cocaine started coming in, and all of this mistrust was just growing and growing and growing in that circle. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just crazy. There was a lot of wee traits happening, but this thing, self-worth, started creeping in, self-love started creeping in. And I remember sitting one Christmas by myself. Everybody was doing their Christmas dinners with the family, and I was sitting by myself with a bit of cocaine or whatever, sniffing away and thinking, maybe I'm the problem. Why have I not got nobody in my life here? Maybe I am the issue, maybe I am the problem. So
Christmas Day.
Wow, okay. Planting that seed within myself, and then I was dating a woman at that time who started going to church, and church was a saving grace for me at that time, because I went there, and that's when I started learning about this God. But we're taught it's an external God. So I started learning about this God. I started calling this God. I started praying to remove me from these situations. And it happened, do you know what I mean? That inner power must have consciously put me into a situation which completely removed me from that situation for life. So I'd ended up ripping my t-shirt off and walking down the hometown of a place and screaming about the paramilitaries. Come and shoot me, I'm done with these part of the people. I don't even know what had happened to me. It was just off my nut. I remember getting hit by cars and everything. So it was just off my nut.
And for anyone like watching this, to do that is pretty much a death sentence. Normally.
Yeah, it was humility. Now I look at it like I had to humiliate myself to remove that power from me. It humbled me right down to humiliate and waking up in a jail cell, not a jail cell, just the barracks. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? I've just literally through everything I know away.
These were your support, even though they were
Yeah,
like
it's
violence,
all new.
but they were your family.
Yeah, it's all new, Martin.
And you've just yeah.
So when that happened, I was given a choice either to come back and they were going to beat me or do whatever or shoot me or whatever. So I was given that choice, and I just remember just turning away and looking at the woman I was dating at that time, who was an amazing woman, taught me so much lessons, and I send her nothing but love. She still be in contact with me this day. It was just that broken environment is not good. It's very toxic for relationships to ever prosper in.
Yeah.
But I remember just looking at her and saying, no, I'm going to go, this is it. And from that age of 22 then, I'd moved to Belfast for a while. It was up around that area. I bumped into an old friend that I met in prison who was a traveller, Paddy Joyce. My best friend, my best brother, and he's always with me in spirit. I can feel him, he's presently around me, do you know what I mean? And started being in different cultures and environments. Traveller sites, they were feeding me, they were watering me, and it was like they were protecting me. They wouldn't let anybody come and get me. So for a while I spent time there, I spent time in Ardoyne, and I'd literally moved from a loyalist area into this Republican area, and the people in Ardoyne welcomed me with love. Like they did welcome me with love, and I've not got a bad thing to say about Ardoyne because it's an amazing place. It's got amazing people in it. Yeah. I met some great teachers there who were maybe broken within themselves at some stages, but in that darkness they taught me the wisdom that I carry today. In that darkness they showed me love. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, even though these broken people were as I was broken, even though we were broken, we were still showing each other love and compassion and kindness, and they opened their doors to me, they fed me when I had nothing. So
to give like context and like the example that we're given, this is like someone from Israel going and staying with a Palestinian family. In context, it's slightly different because the kind of unique thing about Northern Ireland, when someone's from outside of Northern Ireland, like to look at us, you don't see any difference. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people don't understand this, because we all look the same, whereas in a lot of other conflicts is the colour of the face and all of this. But to give it a context, that is like literally what it's like. You're going in from one
extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because the whole community I had grown up with in that loyalist area did nothing but, I know I wasn't innocent, I messed up loads of times, I was just a young boy trying to find my way in this journey, but they treated me with such disrespect and hate, and now I look back on it, there was no love there. But on the other side of Ardoyne, which is a Catholic area, I went to that area and they embraced me. I was able to walk up and down the street. These loyalist paramilitaries wouldn't have came in to get me in there either, like, because it was a Republican area, or it was a Catholic area.
It's interesting
so
how
they gave me safety in my life at that stage. Do you know what I mean? They protected me, and I'd made friends with a very, I'm still in contact with him, with a very dear friend of mine who became a great teacher. We were all broken, but he became one of my biggest teachers. He taught me a lot about myself as a man, and yeah, it was amazing.
So I think God, the one upstairs must have had for both of us here, because again, I grew up in that completely Republican nationalist area, and my first love, I fell in love with a woman from Ballymena, and she was from like, it would be kind of like Ballyclare was this estate in Ballymena that was like 100% loyalist, and we met, fell in love, and that was again very distorted, very broken, very toxic. But I see that the divine design of that, where I was growing up in this thing, and there's like, that's the enemy, and you don't mix, and then what happens? Fall in love first time, and that was the first opening of my heart on that. I mean, it again took a long time to get out of that, but I can see the perfection of the plan here, because for us to sit and do what we're doing here now, we've had to go through some sort of...
We've had to dissolve all of the conditioning that we know.
And it was strong.
And it wasn't us just doing it was meeting people like this in different communities that has helped dissolve all of them labels and all of this conditioning that was placed into our birth towns and our birthplaces. Yeah. So that's why I'm so grateful for them. These people helped me dissolve that conditioning. Yeah. Each person I've met along this journey.
So you had to hit that rock bottom Christmas Day, sitting with your lines, and everybody else is having their
A
Christmas
voice came
dinner.
over me, that inner voice cried out to me, the same inner voice I heard as a 15-year-old when I was very suicidal at one stage, coming off drugs, and I was going to end my life at 15. I was sleeping in pigeon sheds, I was flying with pigeons, do you know what I mean? I was like a wee pigeon boy. Do you know what I mean? Pigeon boy. But that's what it was. Do you know what I mean? And I remember crying them tears, and that inner voice says, look, endure it, and I will have you exactly where you need to be when you're 30 years old. That inner voice at 15, that was the same inner voice that came into me on Christmas Day when I was 22, around that age, and says, you are worth so much more than this. Why are you doing this to yourself? You must be the problem. It was like speaking to myself. It was like, you must be the problem. So from that day onwards, I really started looking into mindset stuff. Started looking into like Christ, all of Christ's teachings, God, stuff like that coming towards me. And
22.
yeah, it's just I started placing myself in churches and places like this, and had people praying for me. And I have no issue with churches, but it's just I think churches and chapels just keep you at a stage where they don't want you to know your true self. It's just they only bring you to a certain level. There's so much deeper truths that are within us, and I think we're divided by books. I think we're divided by the name of God, by books, and we're feeding on this external God that is all within us. We are the book. We are the walk in prayer. We are the walk in church. And that's how we
walk with me. Yeah, walk with me.
Right. But we are when we're on walk in meditation and all of them things, and all of the walk in prayer, walk in meditation, walk in church. That's how we treat people. That's how we walk with people. That's how we walk with nature. That's how we be of service. That is, we are the books. Do you know what I mean? The books are written in our hearts, and it's about to solving all of that conditioning and bringing yourself back to that inner place where God resides.
Yes.
But yeah, just that Christmas Day, something just came over me, and it was just like God just went, "Boom, you're coming with me." You know what I mean? It was like the God within just says, "You're coming with me, and I don't care." And subconsciously, you're making decisions then, because you've allowed that positive energy and that God source to come into your life and start making the directions, and you start listening to your inner voice, your gut, you know what I mean? You start listening to what's within you, and you start making the right choices along the way.
It's interesting because I tell you often, I see myself as 11 years old. I became sober on the 16th of March 2014, so 11 years ago. So, you know, a lot of people in this kind of community, a lot of people will be watching here, you know, this around this time, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, a huge amount of people had this awakening, and like it's interesting. It was 10 years ago, 11 for you, 11 years ago for me, and a huge amount of people, and that felt like, I mean, there's been multiple waves over time, but that felt like a huge wave, and I feel like 2020 was the next big wave of awakening, and I feel like now we're coming into another mass awakening, and every time we come into a mass awakening, the darkness, should we call it that, rises even deeper, even further, even stronger. So for anyone that's watching this, that maybe now, you know, maybe some old patterns is coming up for you, maybe your things that you thought you dealt with before, I don't know how many times I've said this now, things you've thought you've dealt with are coming back around. You mentioned like very vulnerably, you mentioned like before you came here you had a fall. You know, for anyone that's finding that, and maybe they've been doing the work for some while and they feel like, you know, they're at a certain level.
There is no level.
No, there's no levels. There's a choice, moment by moment, step by step, breath by breath, to choose who you are or who you're not.
It's the moment. It is the moment, because that's what happened to me. Them 5 years just were like, it just feels like you crash a point and it's like all lies. It's not lies, but it's just character building. That's all it is. But like, I don't even count the days now. I just get thanks each second that's in my mind. It's because, you know what I mean, there's no point in me counting the days, because I thought I was fully healed. I was walking around like I was this, you know what I mean, thinking of that. It's just egotistic. People get caught in the spiritual egotistical way. Do you know what I mean? They do, like, people get caught in that egotistical way, that spiritualism, and they come from the world into worldly ego into a spiritual ego.
I can relate very much with that, and I feel like a lot of it comes from a real innocence and a purity, like an innocence and an ignorance. I remember when I had this awakening, I was just like, especially when I found breathwork and I had the experience of breathwork where I just literally merged. I would just say I merged with God. That's all I could say happened. I was just like, this is what I've been searching for my whole life. I need to tell everyone on the planet, and I've got this answer, and I found this out, and I have to tell everyone. And
holy me.
yeah. If I can tell everybody about this, everybody's going to be fine. And then you just get, again, I think it's innocence, purity, but also ignorance of how things work. Because 1 second before I had that experience, if you came and told me about this thing, it wouldn't mean anything to me. Everybody has to come to these experiences on their own, in their own way, and everything's perfectly designed that way. But it's very important to see that that's a very easy trap to fall in. And
It's bad.
it's one of the things
It's worse than being stuck on a worldly eagle, because at least you know what you're operating with a worldly eagle. But you start messing with the spiritual way of life in this here, it can put you into a seriously
100% all sorts of savior complexes and all this. This is really, like you say, it's better being in complete ignorance because you haven't even seen a piece of it. But when you've seen a piece of it and then you start going in this, again, that's been the biggest test on my journey, I would say, and this like intuitive guidance is like always this wanting to make you this voice, this energy wants to make you the special one, wants you to make the one, you've got it. It's all about the I, and it's all about special. It's all about you've got this, and that seems to continue, but it never. I think we've come, because the journey that we've come through, and I feel like this, maybe you can speak to it, like because we've been to such lows in my life, there was never any part of me that could get too long caught up in that I'm some sort of special thing. No. Because when you've been to the gutter and you've seen the gutter and you've been part of the gutter and you've actually seen like some of the things that humans have potential, the idea that you can just step over to this but it's very alluring, especially if you've been misunderstood, you've not been heard, you've not been seen, which is very common for anyone in this journey. Unseen, unheard, misunderstood, oversensitive, and then something comes in, you're this special one, and you've been preparing all this time just to become this.
I know.
That's very easy.
It's very, very easy, and I've already had them battles in my life through that singularity and thinking that now I understand it is us that has to come together in unity. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Under God's way, under that righteous sort of way, we need to come together in that place. Do you know what I mean?
And that's why
we can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. I tried to do it alone my whole life. Do you know what I mean? And that was only a trigger response as well, because I've been placed in the situations where I was alone. So it was like when I was in them lonely moments, I was feeding that darkness by saying, the world this and the world that, and nobody cares and this and that. So you're feeding that entity within yourself. So when you do take a step into the spiritual place and everything's going well for you and it's all aligning, you start thinking, what's this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you think you get it all worked out?
You can only go so far, and then you'll be humbled again.
Definitely.
Into community, into connection, into actually taking guidance from another, because we're all learning from each other, we're all mirroring each other, and there's nobody in this world that is greater than any. This is the problem. People are looking down at the broken people. They're looking down at the broken people, and they're looking up at these celebrities, these people with money, instead of looking at people in the eyes as equals, Martin. Do you know what I mean? And this is what we need to do. We need to bring them off their pedestal, and we need to raise them up in their pedestal and realise it's not nationality, it's not religion, it's not any of this stuff, it's not social status. What matters is humanity in these times. It's humanity. If we don't change our ways, brother, this world's doomed. You know it, and it's our children that are going to suffer from these curses that are going to be passed on to them. And that's what scares me. I have a 7-year-old boy, and I haven't been the greatest father figure. I've been in and out of his life just through my own mistakes, and his mother was always just protecting me. She's an amazing woman. She's doing brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And another man has been there more than me for my own child, and bless him. Nothing but praise for him and nothing but thanks for him and that family unit, because I was passing on my father's curses onto him. Do you know what I mean? And she was just protecting him, and if I can't do anything for him in this time, the only thing I want to do is to try and create we want to do, the only thing we want to do. There's a full force rising out there that wants to bring this new old way back in, so our children don't have to suffer all of this horrific stuff that's happening.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's about our children. It's not about us. It's not the messenger either. It's not the messenger. It's not this. It's the message that needs to get that collective force put behind it of pure light, pure love, pure compassion, truth. All of that powerful energy forces need to be met with the message that we're all carrying, that we're all remembering. It's in our DNA, it's in our hearts, it's in our minds, it's in our soul, it's in our spirits, and that's what's rising again. Do you know what I mean? It's the lost tribes, it's the tribal ways are coming back in unity, and we're seeing the truth for what it is, and we know that meeting the world with all of this hate and anger isn't going to benefit our children. It's only teaching them that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just that's all I want to see is a future for our future generations to come. It's like you said, heart leaders. Do you know what I mean? We have it's not the system's broken right now, but the foundations are there, and if the right leaders, the heart leaders, as you said, the heart leaders are in place that are of service to the people and feed the people before themselves and help the people before themselves, then and they're governing, these heart leaders are governing alongside the people and listening to what the people need.
Yes.
If we can bring that force into action, then the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really would.
I put up a post the other day, if you're any of you is on Facebook there, I said the world is in very good hands with young lions like this coming up, and that's why I told you, and now you'll probably be understanding why I said how inspired I was when I spoke with this young lion, is what's been coming to me. There's like just for me, like to hear your words and more importantly feel the energy behind the words. I know like there's but more than 10 years difference. I know the future is in a good place when there's like you and those coming after you. It's going to be much less of the condition in the program, and we see some of these young ones now, like these younger ones, and they're coming with such light, and they're not going to play any of these games, and they're not. So we are preparing the way for them, and we are opening this up, and the world is in a good. I am very. We're talking about some dark stuff today, and that's what we do. But I'm very, very, what's the word? Like encouraged, inspired, and know that we're on the right path.
We are on the right path.
And with like young men and women like you coming up behind, and the layers and layers that are coming after that, we're in a good space. A lot of times because of media, because of this distorted force and energy that wants to focus on the negativity, you could look at the world and think it's terrible. You could really think that we're in a far worse place than we are. But if you actually, like you do, if you get out and actually meet people, talk to people, not like this virtual connection, not through this filter of distorted lens, you meet people everywhere, no matter where they are. You just meet beautiful people.
You do, all right, brother. You do.
The majority of people in the world are beautiful, loving, caring people going about their business. But if you look at it through social media, if you look through news, you'll think the world is like it's an absolute false reality. But this is the thing that this energy uses, because it has complete control of the media, is this manipulated way of putting our consciousness focus on the negative, and then it because it doesn't have any creative potential. We create our version of the reality that already exists of negativity, of division, of separation. So we each individually, like we were talking about, we don't have to think that this is like too big a job. It comes from every word, every thought, every time that you step back from a conflict instead of engaging it, every time you stop the gossip instead of like bringing it forward, every time you don't just say the first word comes into your mind. That's little steps. It's every breath. It's
Gossip's
simple.
a very big thing, brother. It is. I've witnessed it through a lot of places I've been sat with, and sometimes I play the fool when I'm in places. Sometimes I just like to sit and witness and just watch and just keep an eye. But there's a lot of this gossip. This gossip is hard because people are vulnerably opening themselves up to you, and then you're going and using that vulnerability to go and gossip to somebody else. And putting that energy out in the world is keeping people closed off.
It's very destructive, and the social media thing is just enhances all of this.
Yeah.
But so we've come around that that Christmas morning moment, and then so you started on your path. Mindset, fitness. That's what it's perfect. That's what we're doing. It's like these tangents is always pulling us back. So you started on this path of, like, I would say probably like a personal development, mindset, church, health, mindset. Church, and then you got into the church, and I know the Christian teachings and the core of the Christian teachings is very much your frame and very much your passion, and you're very much like an amazing teacher.
It's part of me. It's just part of me, brother.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't say I'm any religion. I'm a man of faith. Do you know what I mean? I'm a man of faith, and that's all I carry. Yes. I've been in Christian churches, and I've witnessed and watched that there's some amazing communities out there. There's some amazing things, but I fully don't believe that you can just go and say one name and that's you. You need to do deeper in the work. You need to let these layers off. Do you know what I mean? If it was that easy and we were just calling a name, the world would be an amazing place. Yeah. But Christ is calling us to go deep within ourselves, to build that Christ consciousness within ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's painful. That's going through all of the sorrow, going through all of the pain within yourself to bring you into there's teachings in a lot of it. So the sorrowful mysteries, the joyful mysteries, and then you've got the ascension or whatever. But that's what we have to go through within ourselves. It's that kind of thing. It's facing your own consciousness, facing your own soul, and it is painful. It is hurting. But the churches aren't teaching that. They're just saying you can come, clap a few songs, and sing hallelujah, and everybody's going to be good. Yeah. It's good. That's good to raise yourself and be part of the community, but you really need to do that deep inner work, and I think that's what churches are missing in the sense of in the Christian way is that they're not opening these deep spaces for people to really be vulnerable. Yeah. A lot of them are just what I've witnessed, and it's just people are just there's a lot of gossip in these churches. There's a lot of using for testimonies to bring people into their churches, so they're getting people to speak their testimonies, bringing them up and doing all of this, and then they're shutting them out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we've got what we want from you. It's good now. Go on. Do you know what I mean? Wow. So I've witnessed that. I've witnessed the Catholic churches as well. That there's a lot of the most beautiful time I've spent was in Catholic churches. There's a lot of brilliance in it. There's a lot of goodness in it. There's the confession and stuff, but even then they're misdirecting and they're misteaching. You know what I mean?
So you came through this Christian path and a lot of different paths. Then when did the kind of more esoteric, multidimensional kind of stuff, when did that come on? That's more recent, yeah.
Yeah, more Gnostical nearly. Like Gnostical kind of stuff. Like coming into that and really allowing, like, I don't really dwell in the books. Like, I try to stay away, like, because of the sense I read scriptures and I know scriptures, but it's just coming to me. Yes, it's not as if I need to it's just coming to me. Do you know what I mean? It's I fully believe it's written in our hearts and souls, the true word of God. But more just like as a sense of Mother Earth and God created Mother Earth and all of this stuff, so it's all one. God is everything. If God is within us, God is around us, God is nature, God is everything. Do you know what I mean? To me, it is. That's more towards a shamanic kind of way, or down that path. Being connected to the land, we're taken from the land. We're ripping out of the land. We're not giving back to the land. Do you know what I mean? We're constantly just mining for the resources and taking. Do you know what I mean?
I have a friend who in Canada, he says, like, a mind is the mind. It's mine. Yeah. Mining is it's mine, and it's the mind I want to take, and it's mine. And it's the mind wants everything to be mine and wants to own everything, and that's why we're constantly taking from the earth and thinking it's something separate from us that we're getting, and it's the mind mining.
Yeah, and I suppose like in churches, because you see a lot of people hide behind these churches and point figures and judge. Like, there's a lot of it goes on. Do you know what I mean? And I hid behind these churches at one stage in my life, so that's how I know what goes on, because I've witnessed it firsthand, and you can see it firsthand as well. So to me, it was the deeper teachings are going really deep within yourself. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I want to know who I am in God's eyes. I want to build that personal relationship with God within the self, and it's picking up tools along the way. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's grounding, whether it's meditation, prayer, whatever them tools are to keep you sober, strong, and to keep you the best version of yourself, so you can be a godly version unto others. That's what we're called to be. We're made in God's image, so we're called to be a godly version of ourselves. so we can be the best version towards others. If we are in that godly position in our lives, you see it with yourself, do you know what I mean? When you're stepping into that power of our God-given strength and all of that, all of them good fruits within ourselves, then we're passing it and mirroring it on to each other, do you know what I mean? We're showing each other that that's a good way of life. And the mindset as well, I fully believe, the mindset is where heaven begins, and if we can create that heaven in our mind, by losing all of the conditioning, being with nature, being with one another, all of that stuff in the heavens, in the mind, we can bring that heaven onto earth. The mind is a powerful place. I fully believe that is the heavens that is spoken about. I don't believe it's I don't believe that the skies are there's, do you know what I mean? I fully believe it starts in our mind. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, and
we are creating it. We are creators. If we're made in God's image, God is everything, and we are creators. Then we need to be that creator of heaven on earth.
Yes.
Not by creating the whole heaven on earth, but by creating that little piece of heaven around ourselves in that community or in our own household or in ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what we're called to do. To be honest, like create that piece of heaven and let it spread out. Do you know what I mean?
And this is like, I totally agree with you. It's like the heaven and the hell is all existing within the mind. Yeah. It's all existing within us. What they talked about the hell or these realms is like a disconnection from your source. It's a disconnection from who you are and a believing that you're a little small self trying to get something, trying to achieve something, feeling unfulfilled and wanting something. And the heaven realm it's already here. It's now here. It's already existing. And it's not in a future, and it's not somewhere else. It's here. It's just the filter of our mind, which is like displaying this sometimes close to heavenly realm, sometimes hellish realm, or most of the time vacillating between the two. But it's a filter that's overlaying the heaven that is already here. So when we say bringing it, it's bringing it from ourselves, out of ourselves. Heaven is coming out of us to the world. Through this, through the lifting of this veil, the lifting of this filter.
The lifting of the veil, that's what it is, do you know what I mean? The lifting of the veil and seeing the beauty in the world, seeing the magic in the world, seeing all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's there, like it's simple
things, yeah.
Simple things, brothers.
Yeah.
And the more I looked in the deep history and the translations of these books and stuff like that, these translations have been translated for men to selfishly gain that power for themselves. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're teaching in these things to keep us disconnected from the true source of God within. And so we don't become and live in that abundance, and we don't embrace nature and all of this stuff. It keeps us disconnected from God when we're going and seeking an external God.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's all within. Everything is within. That's what Christ came to teach, that the kingdom is within you. Do you know what I mean? The kingdom of God is within you, and if you seek that kingdom, all things shall be given to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what it says in scriptures and stuff like that. And these teachings have been blotted out or covered up. Do you know what I mean? To keep us from truly connecting and living heaven on earth, because they're living heaven on earth. They're living like kings and queens. We are the people. We should be living like that. They should be serving us. You know what I mean?
So 32-year-old Kyle sat here in Portugal, sat here with a former Dungiven man out of Ballyclare. You're good? We're getting a TikTok set up there.
Can you still hear? The thing has disappeared. Can you still hear me on the TikTok, folks? I don't know if that's went off.
Technology fun.
Sorry, everybody. I'm a disaster, I know.
So 32-year-old Kyle sat here in a wee house in Portugal with a Dungiven man. What would 32-year-old Kyle say to 15-year-old Kyle if you could speak to him now? He sat here in the middle.
I would probably just grip him up like that and say, listen, enjoy the journey, son. It's going to take you exactly where you need to be. I would, because it wouldn't change anything in my life at all. I wouldn't. I love it all. Each scar and each dark moment has given me the wisdom to share in the light. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's helped me to understand what it is to be a human on this earth, because that's what we're here to do. We're having that human experience. We're here to experience the emotions, but we're here to experience all of that so we can understand other people's brokenness, and we can be of service to them in a way and let them know it's okay. We're all having the same thoughts because this world is set up to give us a negative consciousness. Do you know what I mean? We're all having the same thought process, but everybody is identifying themselves as individual, and they're not being able to share them thoughts out because they think there's something wrong with them. Oh, there's this darkness in me, I can't let anybody know that. Listen, this place is one of the darkest places ever, but it's what if we put it into action. Once we put it into action, we give that entity life, as you says. Do you know what I mean? We give that entity life. We're bringing that force into the world. Yeah. And what we're trying to do is raise the Christ God-like consciousness in the sense that then we are portraying and we are doing acts of kindness, acts of service, acts of love, acts of joy and all of this towards others, and helping them raise themselves up into that mindset.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? So I was probably just saying enjoy it, kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's nothing you would... I knew you were going to say that you wouldn't change anything, but the reason I was going there, I was wondering, is there a message, like there's something you want to, because let's say there's somehow a 15-year-old in Northern Ireland finds their way to this somehow, or we have a parent of a 15-year-old or somewhere that's maybe challenged or I can just see this battery that's going on possibly on a similar path. Is there, I know you can say enjoy the journey, but is there something that you would like to say to a 15-year-old?
I suppose that's very ignorant of me to say that I would say enjoy it in case somebody is running, but that's because I've lived through that experience. Yeah. What I would say is... I'm
going to put this on the chart. Go ahead.
What I would say is a wise person learns from another man's mistakes, and if you just slow yourself down and don't be running into the world, because the world is not there to benefit you in any way. Nurture yourself and the people that you have around you, let them nurture you, because your parents probably do have your best interests at heart, and if you're surrounding yourself around good people, allow yourself to be nurtured in the right way, definitely. Martin, you know what I mean? Definitely. If I had accepted that nurturing love back then my life would have been very different. But
it prepared you perfectly. But
definitely just keep
someone who's there now.
Keep your eyes open, stay aware, and just know that there is no world. There's nothing in these worldly gains. You're going to get quick satisfaction, quick pleasure, and you're going to end up broken down, do you know what I mean? Broken down by addiction, by people that you think are your friends. Yeah. So if it was to go back there and say to him, I would probably give him a big hug and say, listen, do you know what I mean? It's going to be okay, but go home. Go home. You don't need to be here. You don't need to put yourself through this pain and suffering. Yes. Most of us cause ourselves unnecessary pain. And this is the problem, we're causing ourselves unnecessary pain, do you know what I mean? We don't need to learn these lessons. We can look at our elders and think, right, well, he's been through it, I'm not going to make that choice because that ended up in there. Yeah. So I'm going to go there now. So 72-year-old Kyle, what's he going to say?
He's got a message for you now, 32. What's he saying to you?
He's going to say, listen, son boy, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, do you know what I mean? I'm proud. I don't have pride, but I'm proud of myself now because I'm 32 and I'm becoming a man. Do you know what that's like to realise that you're 32 years old and you're only stepping into manhood?
I very much do, because as you know, 30. I'm only 11. I'm only 11. I know it very well.
Oh, I'm only 2 weeks. I'm doing okay for 2 weeks. Yeah. The voice is double now. Okay, what's that mean? That's because of that, is it? But yeah, 72-year-old me would probably just look with a big smile on his face and say, you took a good journey, do you know what I mean? It was a hard one, it was full of pain and suffering, but we have to go through that pain and suffering to find them moments of peace and joy within our own lives. To find the hidden treasures, we need to walk through the fire. Do you know what I mean? We need to walk through the fire. Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah.
I think it's good now. I think there was...
Yeah, we need to walk through the fire, like, isn't it? We're all big lumps of coal, just waiting all the pressures just building us into that diamond.
Beautiful.
And that's the way I see
Beautiful. It. So, there's a big walk coming up.
Yeah. So
walk with me. Tell us.
Walk with me, brother. Walk with me. I'm. Yeah, I know it's gonna happen. It's been in my mind for the last 5 years. So. It's something that subconsciously I've been bringing the light, and for some reason it's just happened it's without, I've always been planning it, and the moment I stop planning it, it's coming. So I'll start in Portugal, and I'm going to be walking to Israel, the Gaza Strip. That's just where I want to go and spend a bit of time amongst the people there and spend time in that culture. That's where I want to go, definitely, like, and really just see it firsthand, show people firsthand. And along the journey, it's all about meeting people. It's all about meeting people and connecting with different cultures, nationalities, maybe sharing words of wisdom with them along the way. And it's going to be a journey of humility and really humbling myself to just allowing myself to receive life and receive kindness. And I'll be stopping off at the churches and chapels along the way, and there might be some days where I might not have any food, and I'm gonna knock gracefully and ask, can you share some bread with me, or can you share some food with me, or can you share a glass of water with me? And yeah, I just want to go out and witness, brother. I want to witness the world for what it truly is. That's what it is. I want to walk this journey and this pilgrim's journey. Portugal, up into France, down in through Rome, and then I'm going to cross over into Israel. I want to walk it to see and witness humanity for what it is, and to hopefully show people on the lives. I'm going to be live every day, and just really expressing myself as a man. Do you know what I mean? Meeting people with that love and light and that joy and that them hugs and smiles, and that's what I'm going to do. And if people accept it, then that's okay. If they don't accept it, then that's okay. I am totally fine with the man that I am. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. So,
have you looked up how many miles or kilometres this is now?
Well,
have you done a rough look?
From Portugal to Bordeaux, it is 1,027 kilometres.
Okay.
And then from Bordeaux to Rome, it's like 1,200 kilometres.
Okay, so that's 2,200.
And then from Rome to Israel, it takes 40 days.
Really?
It takes 40 days. That's all I know.
So you go across to Greece,
from
Cyprus
direction,
Cyprus,
and then you can get a boat directly into Israel.
Okay.
I'm going to go for it. Listen, I only live once. I'm only here once. I want to embrace the journey. And listen, it's going to be my last journey. I'm telling you, I've travelled enough. I'm ready.
You're 32 now. Come on.
No, it's going to be my last travel. I'm ready to lay some good, solid foundations, brother. And that's what the journey is all about. It's about raising money and raising funds to bring a retreat centre into place that are going to bring homeless people with addictions into some deep healing. Do you know what I mean? Deep healing, a place of no judgment, a place where they can come and be filled with compassion and love, and we can be the likes of us. The collective can be of service to them people, and to really help them people back into being and feeling worthy and equal with the rest of us. Because I know what it's like to be down there, and when you don't have that self-worth, you don't have that self-love, you don't have that forgiveness within yourself, then you can't embrace that around. You can't embrace it, and people are trying to give it to you, but you don't know it because you don't know thyself. And we need to show people that we need to just sit with people and allow them to know thyself. Do you know what I mean? And to build that in their kingdom, to help them clean out their temples so that God can come and reside within their vessel, within their soul, and to help them get into that mindset of heaven, home, bringing them home, heaven on Mother Earth.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what it's all about, and it's a great passion. I've just got a passion for it, Martin. You know, I just have an energy. I've never had the foundations or the resources or the riches of the world, but obviously we need these tools to fulfill this in this 3D matrix system. We need this. Do you know what I mean? So,
yes.
So I'm just going to put myself out there. If people follow it, they receive the message. It's not the messenger, it's the message, folks. Remember that. That's it. This is the problem. The message has been there for us, and we've put people on pedestals who carry that message. The ego's crept in, and the ego has overtook them and brought them into their own selfish ways. Yeah. But I just know I've been humbled that much through my life that I don't care for money. I don't care for it. I won't be touching the money. I don't need that. All I have is this vessel and these words, and that's all I can portray onto the world. There's a team there that can be built through the people that have the same vision, because I know there's many out there that have this vision within themselves. It's just collectively bringing it together, raising the vibration behind it, and just planting that mustard seed onto this earth and just watch it spread like wildfire. It's just about getting that collective force behind it. Do you know what I mean?
So if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, or watching in the future and somewhere else, they can find you on TikTok.
Mostly TikTok or Facebook.
So it's Walk With Me 144. What's another number? Walk With Me. Kyle
MacConnell. Walk With Me 14426.
So you have Kyle MacConnell on the screen here. The TikTok people will know that, and they can support. There'll be a link where they can support you on this epic walk from Portugal all the way. And so he's going to do live streams if there's any, like he's going to do live streams on the way and share his journey, share his adventure. And I'm for one, I don't know, we'll hear from our people here. Like, I'm very inspired by you. I'm inspired by your journey. Inspired by your courage.
You are the inspiration to me. I'm just a fool, brother. I'm just a fool, but it takes a wise man to act a fool, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, just the fire and the heart and the passion to it's okay having an idea, but to actually act on it and walk this walk. So it's important. So thank you for And if there's any listen, I don't, on TikTok and all of this, I don't need gifts. I don't need money. There's a link in my bio, and there is money. There's like 5-10 million people in UK and Ireland. £1 donation, do you know what I mean? £1 donation can get this retreat centre built, and it is for the people of Ayr, the people of the north and south of Ireland, the UK people. It's going to be a foundation built from our nation, our home, uniting the Celtic nations back together and bringing that tribal way back in. The tribes are rising, do you know what I mean? The tribes are here. And this is it. This is the force that's going to carry it, and it's God given, it's God promised, and I know that it's going to be ordained over this. You know what I mean? We need to come together and remember, it's not the messenger; it is the message that matters. That's what needs to be brought forth. Yeah. That's the seed that needs to be planted for our future generations to really step into this way of life, this new old way of life. Of not being, we've been sold connection, but it's all this is connection, fast connection. We've been sold disconnection. Do you know what I mean? We've been sold singularity. We've been sold all of this nonsense and stuff that keeps us divided. And we are the ones that are buying it. And the more we're buying into this world and this greed, lust and pleasure, quick, all of this, money, the more we're buying into that and taking from it, the more that world has control over us. It is time to take our sovereign beings back. It's time to take that power back and claim that sovereignty over our lives and over our communities and over our people. And that's what it is, Martin. Do you know what I mean? And that is the message. It's time to be a sovereign man and woman under God's way, walking with Mother Earth. Stop taking from Mother Earth. Walk with Mother Earth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. God's returning for His bride, and I fully believe that's what's happening. God is returning for Mother Earth. Do you know what I mean? We've took and destroyed it. This was a perfect paradise, and through our own selfish ways and putting the wrong people in power to have control over these resources and stuff like this, we've all played a part, and it's time now to step away from it and to help bring this consciousness into the way of life. Another thing is that in Ireland at the minute they're all rising up against immigration, right? Okay, I understand, but these are Muslims that are being placed into our communities. While we're still flying flags for Palestine, we're rejecting the Muslims. So it's hypocrisy. Do you know what I mean? And people don't understand it. And I mean that from a pure place in my heart. That the people are not the problem. It's the way we're being governed. It's the leaders. Yeah. It's all of this. It's the people that had the resources. If Africa was given a heart leader that not ruled Africa, but walked alongside the people and helped the people and had control of their resources, Africa would be a vibrant nation, and they would have their resources. They would be led by their chiefs and stuff like that would manage them resources amongst the people. Same way in Ayr, North and South Ireland, same way in the United Kingdom. All of these nations, if they were governed by heart leaders and they had access to their resources to give to their people and be true leaders of service, not of self, then the migration wouldn't happen. But these immigrants are being sold a dream. They're being sold a dream. They're being told that they're going over to live in paradise and get free money at them, and then they're being met with nothing but hate. We cannot blame the people. Yeah. We are not nationality. We are humanity, and people need to get this in, because the forces that are being put out in this world, this negative energy,
is going to be met with that negative energy. So people don't realise that they're digging their own graves in these times. They're, by karmic laws, by universal laws, this is the God's law. That this has to happen. This force has to clash at some stage. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And this, this is a again, we'll go back to this energy.
Fully
this is a planned, orchestrated division of society, and it's been done, and it's been the playbook, divide and rule, and that's what's happening now. And it's like you say in Ireland, it's like
it breaks my heart, man. Do you know what I mean? Because I've sat with these different nations, Muslims, and they've fed and watered me at times.
I can say my time in the Middle East, I would you don't want to say best, who's better best, but my time in the Middle East, the people that I met from Islamic countries were the most generous, most loving, most beautiful people that I've met on planet Earth. And I include that all the people I met.
I've witnessed it, yeah.
So, but the people that are that are used as literal human fodder is what there is.
There's good and bad fruits in every.
No, but these people these are literally used to destabilize society. They're used as pawns and dropped into these places, and it's a deliberate thing that's done. Again, we'll see how long this stays on here, but that's not, they are displaced, and they're not coming from something beautiful, but they're being used, and then the people point towards the people that are vulnerable, that have been brought in, but they're actually part of a big system that's been used to put people against each other, destabilize society, and then get another enemy, because the enemies, say in Ireland, the enemies, once it dissolves, but you need to get another enemy. And then once all of the enemies will go another level, once they've run out all of the enemies on the ground, just listen there. Once they run out the enemies on the ground, just watch, because they're sort of seeding it now. Watch for the enemy coming from the stars. That's the next playbook of this energy.
Isn't it?
When it runs out of this, then you've got the fake alien invasion.
I know.
So, but anyway, we don't need to go there today. That'll be for another time. But I want to thank you, brother. I think we're in very good hands on planet Earth, and thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying through some very tough times, hard times, and like coming out the man that you are. And I just want to thank you as well for your the vulnerability, for sharing, sharing your truth, and sharing where you've come from, and sharing, when you've fallen off, like we all do, because that's gold. Because you speak very eloquently, you speak very powerfully, but it's important for people to see that that comes through falling down a whole lot of times, but just getting up one more time than you've fallen down. And that's
it breaks your heart. Like, I know I fell loads of times, and I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I'm probably one of the biggest ones that have made the most mistakes in this life. But I'm letting go of the past. I'm gonna stop worrying about the future, and I'm being present, because these are the times where real staunch men need to come forward and be in their masculine, and to really respect and appreciate the feminine in this way. But it's time to stop being the chess pieces and flip that table and be the chess players and take our power back, brother. You know this. Do you know what I mean? We are the people. Do you know what I mean? We are the people. It doesn't matter nationality, humanity. We can live at peace with one, and it's not about religion. There's no religion. It's not about making one religion or this or that. It's about returning to the spirit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Christ came to teach about the spirit. That's where we need to reside in, and that's where we need to be with, and we need to allow our minds to be governed by the spirit. Yes. Do you know what I mean, brother? That's what is important in these times.
Will the Spirit be with you on this walk, and every step of the way will be with you?
I know, brother. Listen, I know. The Spirit cannot leave me. It's eternal. It's eternal in this vessel, and that's what it is.
And we'll just say, if anybody happens to watch this and you're in Portugal, you're in northern Spain, you're in France, you're in Italy, and you can help. Oh, look at that. Does this thing? I think it does this too, does it? If you're in any of those countries or along the way, Greece or Cyprus, anyone that can maybe help out along the way, and you want to
make us a wee cup of tea,
make comment, or people on the way, help out on this epic walk of whatever many thousands kilometers we don't know.
So it'll be the Portugal Camino to Santiago, and then from Santiago to Bordeaux, then Bordeaux down into Rome, and then Rome into Cyprus, and then Israel around that direction. So if there isn't anybody out there that can get in touch with me, exchange numbers, and when I'm passing, I can pop in, and if you need an exchange of service for a meal, if you need a wee bit of work done around the house if you're elderly, or
and if you have a pair of shoes for a man,
we'll exchange services. This is the new currency.
You might wear out a few soles,
I know.
But you're bringing in the full soul.
I'll do it barefoot.
So anyone that's not connected with Kyle on TikTok, go to Kyle MacConnell, and it's Walk With Me 144
14426.
Also on are you going to be on YouTube as well or no?
No, I haven't really used YouTube.
Okay,
I'll be on Facebook.
On Facebook, you have him as Kyle MacConnell. The name's on the screen there for anyone that does that. And so, yes, for anyone that has, if you've enjoyed this, you got value from it, you've enjoyed this little journey from war to wisdom, support Kyle, support this movement, and most importantly, find out the way that you can step into whatever it is you're here to bring. And I'll leave the last word to you, brother.
Yes, I just thank them all. I wouldn't be here, Martin, if it wasn't for the earth angels, as I say, that have been placed into my life along the way. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like I'm just a fool from a small town, like, and the people that have been placed into my life along the journey have all been teachings to me. They've all helped me. They have given me. Some of them have given me their last. They have opened their doors to me. They have fed and watered me. So there must be a spark or something that is in me that allows me to be alive and to still be here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful. Like, you know, this is the power of community. This is the power of uplifting somebody. You don't know who that person that you're helping off the street. You don't know the words that could or the impact he's going to have onto another. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just very blessed. I really am. I can just say, if there's anybody, like, this is going to be a walk of humility. So if there's any sponsors out there, or if there's any small businesses out there that can maybe donate products that I can promote along the way for you, so just give me a shout. Anything to do with camping, anything that like hair products. I'm only joking, but just give whatever, any help. Beggars can't be choosers, as I say, and all help is good help if it's coming from the right place and right intentions.
Yes.
So, Martin, I just want to thank you too and your family. Do you know what I mean? Like 2 weeks ago, something just called me out here to something I'm looking at in my life now is this family unit. That's very important, and even in scriptures they teach it about the Holy Family Trinity and stuff like that, and that's what's being broken. And to witness you and your family, brother, do you know what I mean? I know nothing's perfect in life, but you have such a way around you and an understanding, and it's just beautiful to witness how you nurture each other, how you nurture your wee boy Angelo. That boy's a legend. That boy's just amazing. I've learned more from him in this 2 weeks than I've learned through my whole 32 years.
I know well.
That's just, I don't know, and that's because the parenting is in the right place. I've heard how you speak to him when he's acting out. I've heard how he's running around. He's connected to the land. He hasn't been in this system, and the intelligence. He's talking about different planets and different things, and it's just
forgiveness the other day. Do you remember?
And everything, and how he speaks about his emotions, and that's because you've allowed that safe space to be open amongst them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm just blessed to witness that, Martin. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the family unit that I would want to see in every home and within my own. Do you know what I mean? And it's beautiful, brother. Do you know what I mean? It really is.
Thank you,
it
brother.
Really isn't even the words that you spoke to me the other day. Only out of bed with the hair everywhere. And you told me you've given me such teachings about. I've always been a yes man, and that's caused me to. Close friends have said yes, and then I'm thinking I'm doing them a favour in the moment, but I've let them down. I've let them down hurtfully. Do you know what I mean? Just by saying yes. Do you know what I mean? And it's better just to say no in that moment, and to really just no, I can't do that now. No, thank you, and just letting it be. Do you know what I mean? Because when you start speaking your words and you're just speaking from love, and you have no morals and trust and values behind it and things like that, your actions aren't matching your words. It breaks trust in them. Do you know what I mean? And that's not something I want. That's not me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that person. I'm just trying to find my way in a world that's crazy. But listen, thank you everybody for listening, and I really appreciate this all, and any help in advance I really appreciate. And if you have a cup of tea along the way, Please
Hand
give
them
me a
up.
message. Get good tea bags in, and I'll paint your gaff. I'll paint your house. I'll do your garden.
I'll have to
Whatever to
translate.
get by in this time.
I'll have to translate some of that for some.
I've got a very dear friend that's back home that I'm gonna have to go when I get back and cut her grass because I've been promising for too long. And it's such a simple thing to cut out someone's grass, but I've been saying for so long, I'll cut your grass, and I haven't done it. Alignment, brother, isn't it? Sticking to your word, and that's
Brother,
what I need to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Come.
Bless you, brother. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Much love, okay? Take care.
We'll see you again soon. See you TikTok, see you Instagram, see you Facebook,
Take care.
YouTube.